What is up, everybody? Welcome back to your Sports Infusion podcast with your host, Cameron, and it is just me today. It's going to be interesting. We've seen how podcasts go when it's just me, but Chris is not able to be in today's podcast, so it kind of sucks. But we are going to get a podcast done. We are a little late on getting it done. We kept pushing it back, and then now it is Tuesday, March 3rd. I am recording this podcast, and then March 5th, we have probably one of the biggest podcasts in the Sports Infusion podcast history. We have a surprise guest that me and Chris have both decided on. He's got a lot of knowledge on the topic we are speaking of, and we're going to have some fun. Anyways, go ahead and check us out on the app called... I'm going to find it. I keep forgetting what it's called. It's called Rumble. Go ahead and check us out on the app called Rumble under the Sports Infusion podcast. It is like YouTube, just for podcasts. Anyways, guys, today we have a talk that we've kind of discussed at the beginning of the year, or I should say, like, at the beginning of the podcast, and we're going to be hitting the topic of MLB baseball. We are going over the starting rotation, the bullpen, everything for come around opening day, and we're going to hit all 30 teams, and I'm going to give it a rating on A, B, C, D, and F, obviously. And I'm going to try being unbiased, because obviously I'm a big Cubs fan, but we're going to figure it out from there. Yeah, anyways, let's get started. Team number one, we've got the Oakland Athletics. They're just the Athletics now. All right, here's your starting lineup for your Athletics. First base, Nick Kurtz. Second, at catcher, Shea Langoliers. Left fielder, Tyler Soderstrom. DH, Brent Rooker. Second base, Jeff McNeil. Shortstop, Jacob Wilson. Right field, Lawrence Butler. Third base, Max Muncy. In center field, Denzel Clark. On the bench, catcher Austin Wins. Infield, Andy Ibanez. Outfielder, Carlos Cortez. And then another outfielder, Colby Thomas. The starting rotation, Luis Severino, Jeffrey Springs, Aaron Savale, Jacob Lopez, and Luis Morales. Looking at that, they have actually improved a lot. You look at free agents that were picked up, they've improved a lot. Trying to find it to where it has... That's not what I wanted. Yeah. Jeff McNeil, obviously new to the team. And he brings a huge bat. I don't even know a whole lot about the Athletics. Athletics, they're changing. Obviously, bringing in Aaron Savale. They brought in Jeffrey Springs. They're bringing in a ton of players that's really, really going to help this team. And right there, that's what I'm looking for, fellas. Jeff McNeil is the only one in the starting lineup that is new. And then they did also bring in Austin Wins. They brought in Andy Ibanez just recently. And then starting rotation for pitching, Aaron Savale is the newest pitcher. So they tried, obviously, and this is not a team that's going to bring you a championship at all in any level. They probably won't even be a wild card team. So probably be a team that sits around or just below 500. They improved, that's for sure, but I don't think this is going to bring a World Series to the Athletics. I'm going to give them a D rating for Oakland. Now for Baltimore. Baltimore's interesting. Let me tell you why. They have probably, on paper, one of the best American League teams. 100%. It's just, it's a super team that I don't think is going to work well together. But we shall see, because I kind of have a rating for this, and I want to see how I feel about it. All right. At shortstop, Gunnar Henderson. At left field, Taylor Ward. At first base, Pete Alonso. At catcher, Adley Rutschman. Right field, Dylan Beavers. Center field, Colton Cowser. Second baseman, Blaze Alexander. DH, Samuel Basallo. And at third base, Kobe Mayo. On the bench, first base, Ryan Mountcastle. Infielder slash outfielder, Jeremiah Jackson. Outfielder, Tyler O'Neill. Outfielder, Leody Tavares. And their starting rotation is a six-man rotation. We got Trevor Rogers, Kyle Bradish, Chris Bassett, Shane Baz, Zach Eflin, and Dean Kramer. Go ahead and read you their new people. Taylor Ward, Pete Alonso, Blaze Alexander. He was just traded from the Diamondbacks. On the bench, Leody Tavares. And on their starting rotation, the only new people, Chris Bassett and Shane Baz. And pitching is really where the Orioles struggled in a lot of categories. The Orioles struggled in pitching. It came down to the point where obviously they started having to use AAA, AA players, and that's kind of where their schedule fluked, and that's why I believe they were fourth in the American League East, behind the Blue Jays, Yankees, and Red Sox, and the Rays are the Rays. But I'm gonna give this a B. I think that if they put things together, this is a team that could realistically be a 3-6 team. I don't think they're good enough to be a 1 or 2 seed. I think they might have to figure out some stuff in the bullpen. Their bullpen's really young, and also they have a lot of people on their injured list. I'm gonna give this a B. I think if it works together, Orioles can be a stacked team. But we shall see. Obviously, MLB starts, World Baseball Classic actually starts tonight. And yeah, I'm going to be watching that. So, if you guys are also watching something, I am watching as well. Next team, the Boston Red Sox. This is an interesting team. It really is. It's a team that also, if they put all the pebbles together, I think it's going to be really, really good. Anyways, here we go. Roman Anthony at left, Trevor Story at short, Jarren Duran at DH, Wilson Contreras at first, Willie Abreu in right, Caleb Durbin at third, Sedan Rafaela at center, Marcelo Meyer at second, and Carlos Narvaez as the catcher. Their bench, Connor Wong at catcher, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa on the infield, Andrew Monasterio in the infield, and Masataka Yoshida in the outfield. Starting pitching is stacked. Garrett Crochet, Ranger Suarez, Sonny Gray, Brian Bello, and Johan Oviedo. Let me tell you what, that is one of the best starting rotations in the game. Obviously, outside of a couple teams, I'm going to get there. Red Sox, they attacked this offseason pitching. They realized that they were a team that made the playoffs. They made the playoffs and played the Yankees, and they realized that pitching was the problem, and they went attacked, and they picked up some big, big names. But in the starting lineup, they picked up Wilson Contreras and Caleb Durbin. They are the two new people, both starters, first base and third baseman. Two positions that are really going to be missed, obviously. First baseman was a big problem for Boston last year with the outing of Tristan Cassis, and then they were just throwing people everywhere. And then third baseman, Alex Bregman, obviously getting traded. We'll get there later. Two names that they really need. And then, obviously, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa and Andrew Monasterio. Kiner-Falefa was a free agent that the Red Sox picked up, and Andrew Monasterio was also traded with Caleb Durbin from Milwaukee Brewers. Starting rotation, Ranger Suarez, Sonny Gray, and Johan Oviedo are two huge names for Boston. I think if Crochet gets hurt, they can go to another guy, and it's just going to keep on running. I think Garrett Crochet will obviously be their ace, and then Ranger Suarez. I think Bello will probably be their weakest starter, and then Sonny Gray. I think Johan Oviedo is going to be around that 4.5, 5 ERA. It's going to be your average pitcher. And then I think Garrett Crochet and Ranger Suarez are going to be in the top of the league for strikeouts, for ERA, for everything. I'm going to give this team an A. Not an A-, not an A+. I'm going to give them an A. There's stuff that this team could have done. They could have attacked outfield, or not outfield. They could attack middle infield a little more. I think Isaiah Kiner-Falefa at second. Well, they didn't even take a second baseman. Their starting second baseman is Marcelo Meyer, who's obviously a 2-year player, but like 2 years in the MLB. But I don't know if he's going to be a play at second baseman, you know? So it was definitely an interesting take, but with Kiner Falefa on second, I think they could have attacked a lot harder. But, we'll see. Obviously, Marcelo Myers is an upcoming star, so we shall see what they bring. Chicago White Sox. This is an interesting team. Um, they don't have talent necessarily. I mean, they're destroying the spring training right now, so it's definitely going to be interesting. All right, here we go. Chase Meadroth at second baseman, Kyle Teal at catcher, Colson Montgomery at shortstop, Munetaka Murakami at first, Miguel Vargas at third, Andrew Benintendi in left, Austin Hayes in right, Brooks Baldwin in center, and Edgar Caro at DH. Their bench, Corey Lee at catcher, Lennon Sosa in the infield, Luis Angel Acuna infield / outfield, and then Everson Pereira in outfield. Starting pitching, Shane Smith, Davis Martin, Sean Burke, Anthony Kay, and Eric Fetty. Starting rotation is really weak outside of the two new people they just picked up. I'm not liking the starting rotation at all. I'm gonna be completely honest. Never heard of Shane Smith or Davis Martin. I've heard of Sean Burke in AAA. Cubs and White Sox are obviously rivals, so we play a lot of spring training games. So it's definitely interesting. And then obviously I'm just gonna say they did really attack bullpen. Sir Anthony Dominguez, Sean Newcomb, Jordan Hicks, G Dixon Paez. And then starting lineup, Munetaka Murakami was obviously purchased out of Japan. And then Austin Hayes, he was also purchased through free agency. And then bullpen, Luis Angel, or not bullpen, subs, Luis Angel Acuna and Everson Pereira were both trades. And then Anthony Kay and Eric Fetty, obviously both being the free agent pickups for the White Sox. I'm going to give them a C+. I think that they attacked, and they are going to completely improve. Obviously, once again, I think they're going to be under 500. I think they'll be like a 70 and 92, kind of around there. But they're not going to be, 110 loss team. They might even be better than that. I think maybe even like a 75 and 87. That's I like that. Just they're going to be around an 80-90 loss team, but they're not going to be a 110 loss team. That makes sense. So I'm giving them a C+. They attacked, and they attacked well. Cleveland Guardians. Stephen Kwan in left, George Valera at right, Jose Ramirez at third, Kyle Manzardo at DH, Rhys Hoskins at first, Chase DeLauder at center, Gabriel Arias at shortstop, Bo Naylor at catcher, and Brian Rocio at second. Their bench, Austin Hedges at catcher, David Fry at utility, Angel Martinez infield / outfield, and Jonathan Rodriguez in the outfield. Their starting rotation, Gavin Williams, Tanner Bibby, Slade Coney, Logan Allen, and Joey Cantillo. All right. This is going to be a low rating. Obviously, a team who, what did they finish? Guardians 2025. Okay, they lost in the wild card. They lost a lot, though. This is just a completely different team. Picking Rhys Hoskins up, George Valera, Chase DeLauder, Gabriel Arias, Brian Rocio, probably the 4 weakest batters on your team. And I think that they definitely could have picked up another bat. I don't like it at all. They didn't even get anybody on their bench. They didn't get a new bench person at all. They didn't even get a new starting rotation. I'm gonna give them a D. It's not enough. They went out and they did pick up. I'll give them a D. Yeah, I'm gonna give them a D. They did go and pick up. Maybe let's just scroll. They did. All right. Well, I'm not sure how that happened, but we connected my AirPods connected to my computer. That is kind of annoying. Anyways, I'm giving them a D. I think that there's a lot of stuff that they could have done. They could have went after a different starting pitcher. Logan Allen, Joey Cantillo, Slade Ciccone, Vivian Williams are obviously all really pretty good. But I don't know about Logan Allen and Joey Cantillo. I'm giving them a D. They could have tried a lot harder. All right, Detroit Tigers. Here we go. Parker Meadows at center, Gleyber Torres at second, Kerry Carpenter at DH, Riley Green in left, Spencer Torkelson at first, Wentzell Perez in right, Colt Keith at third, Dylan Dingler at catcher, and Zach McKinstry at shortstop. Their bench. Jake Roberts at catcher, Javier Baez infield/outfield, Jahmai Jones in the outfield, and Matt Beerling outfield/infield. Starting rotation, Terry Skubal, Framber Valdez, Jack Flaherty, Justin Verlander, and Casey Mize. I am going to actually give them, because they did not lose a whole lot of people on their rotation, I'm going to give them an A-. For reasons being, starting rotation is where they got hit. They got beat coming around the starting rotation. So, the addition of Framber Valdez and Justin Verlander is huge. Framber Valdez, he's probably past his peak. Justin Verlander's way past his peak. So it is huge getting two big names on that starting rotation. Skubal, Valdez, Flaherty, Verlander, and Mize. Those are five really solid names. Obviously, no new people in the bench and no new people on that starting lineup. And with that lineup already working as well as it does, with the addition of two all-star veteran pitchers, it's going to be huge. I'm going to give them an A-, not an A, but I really think that this team could be very special this year. Believe me, this team's going places this year. All right, Houston Astros. Jeremy Pena at short, Yordan Alvarez in DH, Jose Altuve at second, Carlos Correa at third, Christian Walker at first, Joey Loperfido at left, Yanier Diaz at catcher, Zach Cole in right, Jake Myers at center. Bench, Cesar Salazar at catcher, Nick Allen in infield, Isaac Paredes in infield, and Cam Smith in the outfield. With their big rotation being Hunter Brown, Christian Javier, Tatsuya Imai, Lance McCullers Jr., Mike Burrows, and Ryan Weiss. This is going... I think I'm going to give this a B-. I don't remember who we got traded for, but they just brought in Joey Loperfido from the Blue Jays. They brought Joey Loperfido in from the Blue Jays, and then they also got Nick Allen from the Braves. And then they purchased Tatsuya Imai from out of country. They got Mike Burrows in a trade with Pittsburgh, and they picked up Ryan Weiss. I do think that lineup is very solid. I'm not liking the Zach Cole, Jake Myers, Yanier Diaz bottom three. And then their bench, outside of Cam Paredes and maybe Cam Smith, it's a rough bench. So I think picking up maybe one or two more names would have been huge for them. But, we'll see. We'll see where they go. They're going to be interesting to watch. That's for sure. Kansas City Royals. Michael Garcia at third, Bobby Witt Jr. at short, Vinny Pasquantino at first, Salvador Perez at catcher, Jack Caglianone at right, Jonathan India at second, Carter Jensen at DH, Isaac Collins in left, and Kyle Isbell in center. Then their bench, Michael Massey, infield/outfield, Tyler Tolbert, infield/outfield, Starlin Marte, outfield, and Lane Thomas, outfield. Their starting rotation, Cole Reagans, Michael Wacha, Chris Bubic, Seth Lugo, and Noah Cameron. This, my friend, is going to get a B- as well. That's B- C+ territory. Here's reasoning. They did go out pick out Starling Marte, but I'm not liking the starting rotation. Obviously lost Zach Greinke. That's going to be huge for them. No Zach Greinke. They just don't have a big name to go to. Michael Walker maybe. Cole Reagans maybe. Seth Lugo maybe. There's just not a solid, consistent starting pitcher that they went and picked up. I did like the Starling Marte, and then Lane Thomas was also picked up in free agency from Cleveland. And then Starling Marte came from the Mets, and then Isaac Collins came from Milwaukee. Isaac Collins was a trade. Everybody else I named was free agency. This is going to be B minus C plus territory. The only reason I'm actually putting it that high is because of the addition of Starling Marte. He's going to be a big bat for them. And by the way, everybody in the bench, that is assigned for left-handed hitting. So everybody that I'm naming in the starting lineup is if it was a right-handed bat. And then everybody that says in the bench is people who do not play against the right-handed bats. Obviously, Starling Marte comes out against lefties, which is very nice. And who would he replace? Kyle Isbell or Jack Caglianone. Alrighty. On to Los Angeles Angels. Starting lineup, Zach Neto at short, Nolan Shinwell at first, Mike Trout at DH, Yohan Mankato at third, Joe Adell at center, Josh Lau at right, Jorge Soler on left, Logan L. Hoppy at catcher, Christian Moore at second. Bench consists of Travis d'Arnaud at catcher, Vaughn Grissom infield, Adam Frazier infield / outfield, and then Bryce Teodosio outfield. Their starting rotation: Yusei Kikuchi, Jose Soriano, Reed Detmers, Grayson Rodriguez, and Alek Manoah. I'm going to give them a B+. Here's the reason I'm going to do that. Alek Manoah, he's a huge pitcher for him. Grayson Rodriguez is a huge pitcher from them. He was just traded from Baltimore. And Alek Manoah was a free agent out of Atlanta. Then they also went up and picked up Vaughn Grissom and Adam Frazier. Adam Frazier is huge from Kansas, and Vaughn Grissom's also from Boston. And then on their starting lineup, Josh Lau from Tampa Bay is a huge bat. With the addition of Mike Trout, Jorge Soler, Joe Adell, Yohan Mankato. Heck, if they can get freaking, where's he at? Nolan Shinwell and Zach Neto going. That is a stacked lineup. So I think that the addition of Josh Lau, bringing two solid bench players, and bringing two solid new pitchers is really going to up the odds of this team. I think they'll be just a little bit above 500. Obviously, they play in a rough division nowadays between the Astros, the Mariners, the Athletics, and the Rangers. This is a tough division. So we're going to see how they perform. I'm very interested to see how they do. I'm going to give them a B+ though. Minnesota. Byron Buxton at center, Josh Bell at first, Luke Keeschel at second, Trevor Larnach at left, Victor Caratini at DH, Royce Lewis at third, Matt Warner in right, Ryan Jeffers at catcher, and Brooks Lee at short. Their bench is Cody Clemens, infield / outfield, Ryan Kreidler, infield / outfield, Austin Martin, outfield / infield, and James Outman, outfield. And then starting rotation, Joe Ryan, Bailey Ober, Simeon Woods Richardson, Todd Bradley, and Zebby Matthews. This team, for very, very obvious reasons, I'm going to give them a D+. Not a D- or a D. Reasoning behind that being is Josh Bell was a nice pickup. Victor Caratini was just really not there. So Josh Bell is really helping the offensive fluency. But they picked up Ryan Kreidler, who is picked up off of waivers from a guy who never played for Pittsburgh. So that's kind of pointless. And then your pitching. They did attack bullpen pretty hard, though. With Taylor Rogers, Anthony Bonda, Anthony Chafin, and Eric Orrs. So good job, bullpen. I'm still going to go ahead and give this team a D+. I think the Josh Bell was interesting, and I'm interested to see how he's going to be. So, D+ for them. Next, for the New York Yankees, Trent Grisham at center, Aaron Judge, right field, Cody Bellinger in left, Ben Rice at first, Giancarlo Stanton at DH, Jazz Chisholm Jr. at second, Ryan McMahon at third, Jose Caballero at short, and Austin Wells in catcher. Their bench, J.C. Escara at catcher, Paul Goldschmidt at first, Ahmed Rosario first/outfield, and then Randall Grichuk in the outfield. And their starting rotation, Max Fried, Cam Schlittler, Will Warren, Ryan Weathers, and Luis Gil. So here's the thing with them. I'm going to give them, I think I'm going to give them, just for the fact that they brought Cody Bellinger back. They brought Paul Goldschmidt back. That's two big names. And then their new people, Randall Grichuk, free agent, last played for Kansas City. And then Ryan Weathers, he was a trade from Miami. Outside of the two pickups, though, it's not great. I'm giving this a D+. They went and picked up a pitcher in replace of Carlos Rodon and Garrett Cole. Obviously, because we don't know. Yeah, we don't know when they're coming back. That's the sad thing. I mean, Garrett Cole's almost 36 years old. Carlos Rodon is 33. So there's a lot. There's a lot going on. Well, I gotta look up something quickly. Yeah. All right. I'm giving them a D+. I think there's a lot more they could have done, maybe with pitching. I do like the Ryan Weathers. And then bringing back their players. I'm actually going to up it to a C-. I think that the bringing back their players, I mean, they made a deep playoff run. Bringing back their players was definitely huge. All right. On to Seattle. Brendan Donovan at third, Cal Raleigh at catcher, Julio Rodriguez at center, Josh Naylor at first, Randy Arozarena in left, Dominic Canzone at DH, J.P. Crawford at short, Victor Robles at right, and Cole Young at second. Bench, Andrew Knizner, catcher, Luke Raley first/outfield, Leo Rivas infield, and Rob Refsnyder outfield/infield. Their starting rotation, Brian Wu, Logan Gilbert, Luis Castillo, George Kirby, and Bryce Miller. New players. They picked up Brendan Donovan, which was really, really nice, actually, for them. He was a trade to St. Louis. They picked up Andrew Knizner, Rob Refsnyder, and they did not pick up a starting pitcher. I really do like this rotation. I like the addition of Brendan Donovan, and I do like the addition of a Rob Refsnyder because he's kind of as much as people hate to say, he's kind of a utility player. He's huge on every aspect. I'm gonna give them a B-. Only thing I don't like is they did not attack bullpen even. This free agency for Seattle obviously was weak. They were a good team. It's not like they get to go pick up, a whole new lineup worth of players. So I do like the Brendan Donovan. I do like the Andrew Knizner and Rob Refsnyder. And then obviously no starting pitchers is where you kind of deter me. If they picked up a starting pitcher or even some bullpen players, they picked up two bullpen players, Jose A. Ferrer and Cooper Criswell. So it's definitely interesting. All right, on to Tampa Bay. Got a lot to say about Tampa Bay. All right, here we go. Gavin Lux at second, Yandy Diaz at DH, Jonathan Aranda at first, Junior Caminero at third, Cedric Mullins at center, Jake Fraley in right, Taylor Walls at shortstop, Chandler Simpson at left, and Nick Fortes at catcher. Their bench, Hunter Fiducia, Ben Williamson, let me slow down. Hunter Fiducia at catcher, Ben Williamson at infield, Johnny DeLuca in outfield, and Justin Henry Malloy in the outfield. Their starting rotation, Drew Rasmussen, Ryan Pepiot, Shane McClanahan, Nick Martinez, and Steven Matz. Let me tell you something. I really don't like Tampa Bay. Picking up Gavin Lux was huge. Cedric Mullins and Jake Fraley were both huge. And then on top of that, you got a Ben Williamson from Seattle. See where I'm going with this. Justin Henry Malou, I'd never heard of him before now. He's purchased from Detroit, it says. And then he went out and picked up a Nick Martinez and Steven Matz. They hit everything hard. I'm giving this an A. They're about a player away from getting an A+, though. And on top of that, they did also just go get a long-term relief pitcher with Yoendrys Gomez. So, kudos to Tampa Bay. They attacked. They really attacked. Man, look at that now. They got a lot better. I'm giving them an A. On to Texas. Texas Rangers. All right, Brandon Nimmo in right, Wyatt Langford in left, Corey Seager at short, Jock Peterson at DH, Jake Berger at first, Evan Carter at center, Josh Young at third, Josh Smith at second, and Danny Jansen at catcher. Bench, Kyle Higashioka at catcher, Ezekiel Duran infield/outfield, Sam Haggerty outfield/infield, and Michael Hellman outfield/infield. Their starting rotation: Jacob deGrom, Nathan Eovaldi, Mackenzie Gore, Jake Leiter, and Jacob Blatz. Newcomers: Brandon Nimmo. I think he was like one of the very first free agency moves. And Danny Jansen. And then Mackenzie Gore for starting pitching. Mackenzie Gore, he's huge for them. Texas could really, really use him. Obviously, not really, because Jacob deGrom, Nathan Eovaldi, two names that are better than Mackenzie Gore. But Mackenzie Gore is a huge pickup. They got nobody from the bench. They did pick up a Brandon Nimmo and a Danny Jansen. I'm going to give this team a C-. I'm going to give them a C, actually. I think that the additions of the two lineup players were really big. I think that the starting pitching was really big. Shoot, I think even a C is too low. I'm going to give them a B-. They didn't attack, but their bench is pretty solid. They kicked Kyle Higashioka out of the starting position. So, props to you. And then starting rotation, maybe. They destroyed their bullpen. Jacob Junis, Alexis Diaz, Tyler Alexander, and Carter Baumler. They did attack there. Yeah, I'm gonna give them a B-. That is subject to change, though. All right, on to Toronto, though. George Springer at DH, Dalton Varsho in center, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. at first, Addison Barger at right, Alejandro Kirk at catcher, Jesus Sanchez in left, Kazuma Okamoto at third, Andre Ximenez at short, and I can't read. Ernie Clement at second. Their bench: Tyler Heineman at catcher, David Schneider infield/outfield, Nathan Lukes outfield, Miles Straw outfield. Starting pitching: Kevin Gausman, Dylan Cease, Trey Yesevich, Jose Barrios, and Cody Ponce. This is also getting an A. I think the addition of Kazuma Okamoto was huge. I think that they are going to turn him into a third base legend. And then, obviously, picking up Dylan Cease was one of the best pitchers off the free agent table. And then Cody Ponce was also a free agent. So the addition of just Dylan Cease to a team that was so close to winning a World Series, you barely lose anybody. You obviously lose Bo Bichette, but you bring in a Kazuma Okamoto, and then you bring in a Dylan Cease to help that rotation out. It looks amazing. I really like how this could shape out. I just need it to shape out how I think it's going to shape out. Alrighty, on to National League. We are 50% of the way there. Arizona, Gerardo Perdomo. At short, Ketel Marte at second, Corbin Carroll at right, Gabriel Marino at catcher, Pavin Smith at DH, Nolan Arenado at third, Carlos Santana at first, Jordan Lawler at center, and Alec Thomas in the left. Bench, James McCann at catcher, Tim Tauber infield/outfield, Ildemaro Vargas infield/outfield, and Jorge Barosa outfield. Their starting rotation: Zach Gallant, Ryan Nelson, Eduardo Rodriguez, Brandon Pfaadt, and Michael Soroka. Newcomers are Michael Soroka, Nolan Arenado, and Carlos Santana. This is a team that I think is right there every single year at some point. Obviously, teams start off hot and then they get cold and then they just suck. Or teams start off cold and then they get going. Like, for instance, your Los Angeles Dodgers. I don't remember if it was this last year or the year before. They started off like 3-7 or 2-8. They started off really, really bad. And I'm like, dang, they might actually be bad. No, I was everything but right, actually. This is going to get a B+. The addition of Nolan Arenado was huge in Carlos Santana. They did not attack bench. Their bench is really weak with Tim Tala, Jorge Barrosa, and then James McCann. Even Ildemaro Vargas. Just kind of a weaker, not weak, but a weaker bullpen. And then obviously, with Corbin Burns out, Merrill Kelly out, even Christian Mina out, it's huge. And their bullpen, they destroyed that too. Paul Sewell, Cade Stroud, Jonathan Loisiga, and Taylor Clark. Yeah, this is a solid team that is coming up. Next is Atlanta. Ronald Acuna Jr. in right, Drake Baldwin at catcher, Matt Olson at first, Austin Riley at third, Mike Yastrzemski in left, Ozzie Albies at second, Michael Harris at second at center, Dominic Smith at DH, and Mauricio Dubon at shortstop. Their bench, they went crazy on bench. 3 of 4 players are new. Jonah Heim at catcher, Jorge Mateo, infield/outfield, Brett Wisely, infield/outfield, and Eli White in the outfield. And then the starting rotation: Chris Sale, Spencer Strider, Reynaldo Lopez, Grant Holmes, and Bryce Elder. They did just lose Spencer Schwellenbach to a huge injury, so that is not good for Atlanta at all. But they did get Mike Yastrzemski, Dominic Smith, Mauricio Dubon. They also got Jonah Heim, Jorge Mateo, Brett Wisely. This is going to be our first A+, for reasons. I think that their starting rotation, once healthy, is going to be insane. Spencer Strider, Chris Sale, Reynaldo Lopez. 3 huge pitchers. Even Bryce Elder. I'm going to throw Bryce Elder in there. You take out Grant Holmes, he'll be the starter to come out when Spencer Schwellenbach comes back. You also got Hurston Waldrop if they need once he comes back. This team is stacked pitching. Bullpen, they also got Robert Suarez and Ian Hamilton. I don't know who Ian Hamilton is. I do know who Robert Suarez is. And then they picked up Jonah Heim, free agent from Texas. Jorge Mateo, a free agent from Baltimore, and then they purchased Brett Wisely. And then the pickup of Mike Yastrzemski, Dominic Smith, and Mauricio Dubon are just huge for them. I'm giving this an A+. I think Atlanta, if they play their cards right, they could be a 3 to 5 seed. They play them wrong, though. That pitching is going to get to them, and it's going to be rough. Alrighty. On to my team, Chicago Cubs. Michael Busch at first, Alex Bregman at third, Ian Happ in left, Seiya Suzuki in right, Pete Crow Armstrong at center, Nico Horner at second, Dansby Swanson at short, Moises Ballesteros at DH, and Carson Kelly at center. Starting our bench, Miguel Amaya at catcher, Matt Shaw infield/outfield, Michael Conforto outfield, and Chas McCormick outfield. Pitching rotation: Matthew Boyd, Edward Cabrera, Cade Horton, Shota Imanaga, and Jameson Taillon. I'm going to give this team a B-. I'm going to give him a B, actually. Alex Bregman was huge. We've needed a third baseman, and keeping Matt Shaw is actually, I really, really like. I think that keeping Matt Shaw could be big for us. I think he could be a future star. And then they also got Michael Conforto and Chas McCormick, who are 2 vital names for us, actually. Coming in from that bench, they're both outfielders. Allows Ian Pete Crow Armstrong. Where's he at? Where's the right fielder at? Then Seiya Suzuki. Dang, they're in order. All right. And then obviously picking up Edward Cabrera was huge. Having that next pitcher. And then obviously we still got Justin Steele coming in. I don't know. Let me see. When is Justin Steele predicted to return? Late May or June of 2026. So he's going to be in there late. And he will probably end up replacing either Jameson Taillon or I don't know about Cade Horton. He was on votings for Rookie of the Year, and he played insane. And then he went out with a rib injury, coming around playing the Brewers, and it's just like, dang, dude. And then he missed the entire postseason. That was insanely annoying. But I'm going to give this team a B. I think having bench player, picking up that third baseman that we needed, and then we lost nobody like big. And obviously, besides Kyle Tucker, he'd be huge on this team because we could drop Moises Ballesteros, put Kyle Tucker, and it's just the whole thing. I'm giving them a B. On to Cincinnati. Cincinnati attacked. Bullpen, apparently. I thought they hit a little bit harder. TJ Friedel at center, Matt McLean at second, Ellie De La Cruz at short, Eugenio Suarez at DH, Sal Stewart at first, Tyler Stevenson at catcher, JJ Budday at left, Noelvi Marte and right, and Key Brian Hayes at third. Their bench, Jose Trevino at catcher, Spencer Steer infield/outfield, Will Benson outfield, Dane Myers outfield. Pitching rotation, Hunter Green, Andrew Abbott, Brady Singer, Nick Lodolo, and Chase Burns. Their pitching rotation does not scare me at all. I don't think that is their problem at all. And it's that starting lineup, which looks fixed. Picked up Eugenio Suarez, picked up JJ Bleday, two huge names, and then picked up Dane Myers. I'm going to give this team a C for not being a playoff team. They probably could have hit some bench players. I think that would have been a really good fit for Isaiah Kiner-Falefa because having that next second baseman behind Matt McLean would be huge. Instead, they got Spencer Steer, and he don't even play second. So they're in that pickle now. So I think that they could have hit bench a little harder and then maybe picked up one more starter, one more solid starter. Yeah, I'm going to see Colorado. Me and Chris have had this conversation a few times. Nathan wants to switch over to Colorado, obviously. Because you can't do there we go. Can't talk about a team if I don't switch over. Alrighty. Jake McCarthy in left, Ezekiel Tavar at short, Hunter Goodman at catcher, Mickey Munyak at DH, Jordan Beck in right, Willie Castro in third, Brenton Doyle at center, Troy Johnston at first, and Edouard Julian at second. The bench, Braxton Fulford, Blaine Krim, Braxton Fulford at catcher, Blaine Krim at first, Ryan Rear infield/outfield, and Tyler Freeman outfield/infield. Starting rotation actually looks really good. If stays healthy, this is going to be a very, very fun team to watch. Kyle Freeland, Michael Lorenzen, Jose Quintana, Chase Dollander, and Tomoyuki Sugano. There's so much talent in that pitching rotation, but age. They have Chase Dollander, who's 24, but then you also got Kyle Freeland, who's almost 33, Michael Lorenzen, who was 34, Jose Quintana, who was 37, and then Tomoyuki Sugano, who is 36, almost 36 and a half years old. And then they obviously went up and picked up Jake McCarthy from Arizona, Billy Cash from Chicago, Troy Johnston from Miami, and Edouard Julian from Minnesota. I'm going to give this team, they picked up names, but they didn't pick up names. They picked up players, and that's what they were supposed to do, but they did not pick up big names outside of starting pitching. That starting pitching, though, is going to give them a C. And I think just because they did go pick up Willie Castro and Edouard Julian, I'm going to move that up to a C+. I think that this team, it's right there. But they need a superstar, and they don't have it. It's just Same thing every year. You trade free agency, trade free agency. Ever since they traded Trevor Story and Nolan Arenado, it's just been a downhill slide. I'm gonna give them a C plus. Now, Los Angeles Dodgers. I remember, yeah. Just because they don't have enough, I'm going to talk about the closer too. Shohei Ohtani at DH, Kyle Tucker and Ryan Mookie Betts at shortstop, Freddie Freeman at first, Will Smith at catcher, Max Muncy at third, Teoscar Hernandez in left, Andy Paz at center, and Hyun Kim at second. Their bench, Dalton Rushing at catcher, Alex Freeland at infield, Miguel Rojas infield, Alex Cole outfield. Pitching rotation, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Tyler Glasnow, Shohei Ohtani, Emmett Sheehan, and Roki Sasaki. And then don't forget, they also picked up Edwin Diaz, the league's best closer. So they picked up the best right fielder or outfielder on the market. They also picked up the best closer on the market. Therefore, I'm going to be forced to give them an A+, just because you're adding insane talent to an insane team. They've got Blake Snell and Gavin Stone injured for the starting pitching. They also got Tommy Edman and Kike Hernandez injured as well. I'm giving them an A+, though. That's end of story, unfortunately. Alrighty. On to Miami. All right, Jacob Marcy at center, Xavier Edwards at second, Kyle Stowers at left, Augustin Ramirez at catcher, Griffin Conine at DH, Otto Lopez at short, Liam Hicks at first, Connor Norby at third, and Owen Casey at right. And then their bench, Graham Pauley infield, Christopher Morel infield/outfield, Javier Sanoja infield/outfield, and Herberto Hernandez outfield. Starting rotation, Sandy Alcantara, Yuri Perez, Chris Paddock, Max Meyer, and Braxton Garrett. This is getting a D. This is awful. They picked up Chris Paddock. Congratulations. They also picked up Christopher Morel, free agency. But Owen Casey is all you go and get, and he is a player who plays in AAA, sometimes AA for Chicago Cubs. This is not great. Chris Paddock's the only reason they're not getting an F. Just there is no talent on this team at all. I unfortunately don't like it at all. Yeah, it's getting a D-. It's not great at all. On to Milwaukee, a funner team. Jackson Chourio in left, Bryce Terang at second, William Contreras at catcher, Christian Yelich at DH, Sal Frelick in right, Andrew Vaughn at first, Luis Rengifo at third, Garrett Mitchell at center, and Joey Ortiz at shortstop. Then bench, Gary Sanchez at catcher, Jake Bowers at first/outfield, David Hamilton infield, and Blake Perkins outfield. Starting rotation, Brandon Woodruff, Jacob Mizorowski, Quinn Priester, Chad Patrick, and Logan Henderson. This is going to get a C- for the reasons following. Luis Rengifo, you lost way more than you actually gave. Or you lost, that made 0 sense. You lost way more than you received, 100%. You traded Caleb Durbin. You also traded Andrew Monasterio. In return, you got 2 players that aren't even on the team. You did pick up Gary Sanchez and David Hamilton, so that's a plus. Starting pitching, though, you lost. Yeah, you lost your best pitcher, Freddie Peralta. And now you're stuck with Woodruff and Mizorowski, and then you have Priester, Patrick, and Henderson. It's not great. And then they did not touch their bullpen outside of Angel Zerpa. Not great, Milwaukee. Not great. But being a Cubs fan, good job. New York Mets. This is a team that I'm really excited for. All right, here we go. Francisco Lindor at shortstop, Juan Soto on left, Bo Bichette at third, Jorge Polanco at first, Marcus Semien at second, Brett Beatty at DH, Francisco Alvarez at catcher, Luis Robert Jr. at center, Carson Bench in right. Then bench, Luis Torrens, Mark Viento, Luis Torrens at catcher, Mark Viento's first/third, Ronnie Mauricio, infielder, and Tyrone Taylor, outfield. And in the starting rotation, Freddie Peralta, Nolan McLean, David Peterson, Clay Holmes, Sean Manaea, and Cody Senga. This is another team getting an A+. They just picked up one of the best starting pitchers in the whole league. You also picked up Bo Bichette, picked up Jorge Polanco, you picked up Marcus Semien, and then pick up Luis Robert Jr. That is an all-star team. On top of that, you obviously have Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto, and then Francisco Alvarez. This team could go very, very far. And this is a team that really scares me outside of the Dodgers. It's a team that really, really scares me, actually, to be a Cubs fan. I'm giving them an A+ for reasons accounted for. Philadelphia. Trey Turner at short, Kyle Schwarber at DH, Bryce Harper at first, Alec Boehm at third, Brandon Marsham left, Adolis Garcia in right, Bryson Stott at second, JT Realmuto at catcher, Justin Crawford at center. Then you got Rafael Marquez, Edmundo Sosa, Otto Kemp. I keep forgetting the same positions, fellas. Rafael Marquez at catcher, Edmundo Sosa in infield, Otto Kemp, infield/outfield, and Pedro Leon, outfielder. And then their starting rotation, Christopher Sanchez, Jesus Luzardo, Aaron Nola, Taijuan Walker, and Andrew Painter. And obviously they lost Ranger Suarez to Boston. This, my friend, I think I'm going to give this a D+. Now I'm going to give him a C-. I think taking Adolis Garcia is huge. Obviously, he's a starter. Took out Nicholas Castellanos. Obviously, he got booted. They did not sign him to a contract. And that Pedro Leon, never heard of the guy, and they did not pick up a starting pitcher. But they did take bullpen. I do like that. They took Brad Keller, Jonathan Bolin, Kyle Backus, and Zach McCamley. I do like that. Then at the same time, though, there's outside of Adolis Garcia, maybe somebody to replace Andrew Painter would have been nice. They got Zach Wheeler coming up, so that's a positive, I guess. All right. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that C-, my original decision of the C-. Next team is Pittsburgh. They're a team that actually did a lot better than I thought they were going to be completely honest. I did not expect them to, hit like this. O'Neal Cruz at center, Brandon Lau at second, Brian Reynolds at left, Ryan O'Hearn at right, Marcelo Zuna at DH, Spencer Horwitz at first, Nick Gonzalez at shortstop, Jared Triolo at third, and then Joey Bart at catcher. Their bench, Henry Davis at catcher, Nick York infield/outfield, John Stinson Garcia outfield, and then Jake Mangum also outfield. The starting rotation, Paul Skeens, Mitch Keller, Braxton Ashcraft, Bubba Chandler, and Jose Urquidy. This is going to get a B. I really love the addition of Brandon Lau, Marcelo Zuna. And then you bring in a Ryan O'Hearn. You just completely reshaped your outfield. I just said reshaped. Dang. And then you bring in John Stinkson Garcia. It's a trade from Boston. Jake Mangum. I don't like the bullpen, but you did bring in a very, very solid pitcher. This is something that's really going to reshape the lineup and then the pitching rotation. So I'm going to actually give them a B-. I think they could have done a little bit more with that starting lineup. Yeah, because there's people in that lineup that I'm not liking at all. Like Joey Bart, Jared Triolo, Nick Gonzalez. I'm going to leave it at that. Those bottom three, I definitely think are replaceable. That's just on me. So I'm giving them a B-. on the San Diego Padres. Xander Bogaerts at short, Jackson Merrill at center, Manny Machado at third, Fernando Tatis Jr. at right, Jake Cronenworth at second, Ramon Laureano at left, Gavin Sheets at first, Miguel Andujar at DH, and Freddie Fermin at catcher. And then their bench, Luis Camposano at catcher, Nick Castellanos first/outfield, Sung Mun Song at infield, and then Bryce Johnson outfield. And then starting rotation, Michael King, Nick Pivetta, Joe Musgrove, Randy Vasquez, and German Marquez. This is going to get a B+. I love the addition of Nick Castellanos and Sung Mun Song. This is a team that made the playoffs. And then you get the addition of German Marquez. And then you also get the addition of Miguel Andujar into a lineup that is already really stacked on paper. I really do like this. I think this is going to be another team to watch out for. I'm not scared of them. Just I do think that this is a team that we could definitely keep an eye out for. Next, we got San Francisco. Luis Arias at second, Rafael Devers at first, Willie Thompson short, Matt Chapman at third, Jung-Hoo Lee at right, Heliot Ramos at left, Harrison Bader at center, Bryce Eldridge at DH, and Patrick Bailey at catcher. Bench, you got Daniel Susak at catcher, Gerard Encarnacion first/outfield, Casey Schmidt in infield, and Luis Matos in the outfield. And then they're starting pitching, Logan Webb, Robbie Ray, Tyler Mahle, Andrew Hauser, and Landon Roop. This is going to get a B. I love the addition of Luis Arias, one of the lowest strikeout percentages in the league. And then you take Harrison Bader, who is already a star for Philadelphia, and then prior to that, St. Louis. Daniel Susak, I don't know enough about him. And then picking up Tyler Mahle and Adrian Hauser were two big pitchers for a team going to obviously win a World Series. Try to see if they have any starters on the IR. They do not. They are looking good coming into the year. I think this is a solid team. And I think that they could potentially be a sneaky wild card. Next, we got St. Louis Cardinals. Lars Nootbaar at left, Ivan Herrera at DH, Alec Burleson at first, Nolan Gorman at third, Mason Wins at shortstop, J.J. Weatherholt at second, Jordan Walker at right, Pedro Paz at catcher, and Victor Scott II at center. Bench, Yohel Pozo at catcher/infield, Ramon Urias at infield, Jose Furman at infield/outfield, and Nathan Church outfield. Starting rotation, Matthew Liberator, Dustin May, Andre Palate, Michael McGreevy, and Kyle Lee. It's going to be a D-. This is terrible. They didn't take a single person for their starting lineup. And then Ramon Urias is as good as you do, and it's a bench player. And then Dustin May was solid, but that is not enough to give me anything over a D-. They did hit bullpen with Ryan Stanek, Justin Brule, Matt Pushard, and George Soriano. I like that. Yeah, D-. And then the last team of the night, ladies and gentlemen, we have got the Washington Nationals. James Wood at DH, C.J. Abrams at shortstop, Dalen Lyle at left, Dylan Cruz in right, Luis Garcia Jr. at second, Keibert Ruiz at catcher, Brady House at third, Abimelec Ortiz at first, I never even heard of him, and Jacob Young at center. And then the bench, Drew Milas at catcher, Andres Chaparro at first/third, Nasim Nunez at infield, and Joey Weimer at outfield. And then Miles Michaelis, Cade Cavalli, Brad Lord, Josiah Gray, and Foster Griffin. Now that is a starting lineup or starting rotation that actually is going to be really solid once DJ Hurst comes back and Trevor Williams. Because when they come back, more than likely, I do see Josiah Gray and Foster Griffin jumping out. And then you got Hers and Michaelis, and then Williams, Savali, and Lord. That's actually not a bad starting rotation. And then I don't like this offense wasn't good. And then I'm gonna give this a D. I like the pitching. They went and got 2 pitchers, and then they did go get 2 players. But it's like when you're a team playing for a World Series, picking up one player that goes in your starting rotation is just it's unfortunately not the move. Anyways, that is all 30 teams. That was a lot of talking. If you guys have any teams in mind that you want me to just deep dive the crap out of, my stepdad is a Boston Red Sox fan, and I'm going to do anything in the power to get him on the show, and we're gonna get talking. We're going to get talking. Anyways, guys, if you guys like this, make sure to like it and also go over to Rumble and watch the podcast. It helps out so much and means a lot. Anyways, guys, we will catch you guys on the next episode of your Sports Infusion podcast with Chris and a surprise guest. Anyways, you guys have an amazing day, night, whenever you guys are watching, and we will catch you in the next episode. Good night.